Thank you. First item on the agenda is the approval of the August 15th minutes. It has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion, additions, deletions? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Next on the agenda is the Harbor View or school traffic update, which I'm sure Councilmember Appel will be very interested in. And I'd like to call on Leslie Hargrove and Jeffrey, and I hope I'm not murdering the last name, Borrowy, from the Charleston County School District to give us an update on that. Okay.
I apologize, Mr. Chairman. I couldn't hear that.
Yeah, do your microphone.
Councilwoman, I was just indicating that the Charleston County School District members, Mr. Hargrove, is having problems logging again. So hopefully he'll be able to join us very shortly.
Third time's the charm.
Did you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm going to move that item to the bottom of the agenda if there's no objection while we wait on them to get logged in. I'd like to move to item 4, the Charleston County project update with Devry DeToma from Charleston County Public Works. Okay, so while we wait for them to also get logged on, I will move to item 5, the speed limit reduction ordinance, and call on our legal departments. And they are live and in person.
So this ordinance, this is something that was discussed, I believe, 2 committee meetings ago. What this is creating a streamlined process to allow the city to reduce speed limits on roads within our city limits. As you can see from the packet, we have gone through and removed the requirements requiring a public hearing. After reviewing the state code, which is section 56.5.1540 regarding speed limit alterations by local authorities, we do have the right to remove the public hearing component. It does require city council to approve any speed limit change, and it does still require an engineering and traffic study to be conducted, but this will at least save one step for the city in the future when it comes to reducing speed limits.
Thank you. Is there any discussion?
Can we bring this forward? I mean, is this for discussion, or can we make a motion to bring this forward to council?
We can make a motion to
Yep.
bring this
So
forward
moved,
to council.
Mr. Chairman.
All right, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Quick question.
It has been moved and properly seconded that we move this forward to City Council. Councilmember Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Does this still require, and this may not be law, but that the community receive a petition or some sort signed by 75% of the community?
Yes, so it does not reduce the 15% of the residents in the particular neighborhood requirement. That is actually not required by the state code, but that is staff recommendation for efficiency purposes in terms of designating the areas that they prioritize these studies for.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Seekings.
Just very briefly, Mr. Chairman, I just want to thank you very much for doing this. Anything we can do to make our streets safer, I'm 100% in favor of. And if we ever get a chance to talk to some state legislators to give us a little more freedom on our streets, that would be really great. But thank you for doing this.
All right, is there any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. We'll move that forward to City Council. Like to turn it over for item 6, valet parking RFP update from Mr. Somerville.
Yes, sir. Basically, I just wanted to give the committee an update regarding the valet parking RFP that we put out. Unfortunately, we did not get any proposals submitted. So we're sitting on 0 as of right now. The valet parking franchise agreement expired, I believe it was September 16th. So we went and spoke with the mayor about it. And right now I'm working with Meg Thompson with the neighborhood services. And we're just talking with the businesses about still wanting to try to utilize this program. So that's where we're at now, working with the local restaurants to see if we can still utilize the spots for drop off and pick up, patrons.
All right. Any discussion on that? Councilmember Siddiqui?
I thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Robbie. I still think there's an appetite for valet parking in the areas that we're talking about, particularly the East Bay Street corridor and the Upper King Street corridor. Having one company run it all seems to be problematic. I think they've got, like everybody else, they've got trouble getting employees. But I think if we go straight to the businesses in that area, and I suspect, Robbie, you've already heard from some of them that they're still interested in having valet. So
Yes.
just keep those spots available and see what the survey shows and craft a program that fits accordingly.
Yes.
We need it. I mean, I don't know if y'all were downtown this weekend, but the old joke, how long does it take Charleston to recover from a hurricane? One second Sunday and a Columbus Day. I mean, it was crazy this weekend downtown, and the cars everywhere. So anything we can do to help move things through, I think is great. So thank you for your hard work. We'll look forward to hearing back and being able to craft something that fits with the spaces we've already got. Don't give the spaces up yet.
No, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion on this one? All right, moving on then. Item 7, the parking meter RFP update, and also with Mr. Somerville.
Yes, just wanted to update the committee. The parking meter RFP, we are to receive the proposals on Friday, the 14th. From there, we have a meeting set up, I believe it's November 2nd, to review the requests that come in. And from there, we'll, put the committee together, review the proposals, and I guess hopefully make a good selection and bring it before council.
All right, is there any discussion on the parking meter RFP?
That's correct, sir. With Monday being a holiday, they asked if we could extend it, so we gave until Friday. Yes, sir. We had like 84 questions that came back when we put it out. Wow. How many parking meters? Over 1,600. Yes, sir.
All right. Do we have any update on items 3 or 4 if they have signed on yet?
It looks like public work.
I'm here, Devery Detoma with Public Works.
Hey, Devery, great to see you. Sorry for the difficulties. I will turn it over to you if you are ready to provide the project update from Charleston County.
I am. Give me one moment to share my screen. Can y'all see my screen?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay. Let me try it again. How about now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'm going to quickly, there's a lot of them. So I'm going to try to quickly go through all the City of Charleston requested projects that we have approved for funding. And I'll start first with the larger ones. These are the ones that were out on the 2016 referendum, or the first one actually from the first referendum. So that's the Northern Pitchfork. We got Segment A, Segment C, Glen McConnell Widening, Savannah Highway Capacity Improvements, and the James Island Intersection and Bike Ped Improvement Projects. And as y'all know, the 17 corridor improvement study was done some years ago. So the Northern Pitchfork, we actually advertised that last month and we opened bids on Friday, and the apparent low bidder came in at $4.3 million, which is, I'm glad to say, within budget. So we're going to take that to the council later this month and ask them to award that project. So I'm sure everybody's glad to hear that.
And you said that was 4.3 million?
4.3 million.
All right.
Next, Segment A, we are currently have a team that is evaluating the first phase of what we call a two-step RFP process. So we're evaluating the request for qualifications from several engineering firms. We're going to shortlist that, and then we're going to do in-person interviews and do it to what we call an RFP process. And we expect to award that and construction to start maybe March of 2023. Next, we have segment C, which is, it started out on the referendum as maybe fund Bohicket Road widening, but through the environmental process, we had to evaluate several alternatives. So there are 7 alternatives we have looked at in depth, and we actually have responded to over 700 comments from our last public meeting this summer. And the summary of those comments and the results are on the webpage as of yesterday. So if anyone's interested in seeing that information, go to mainroadcorridor.com and it'll be a pop-up showing you the summary of those comments. The moral of the story is 96% of people want something done. It's just very diverse in what that something is. Glen McConnell Parkway widening, we are under construction. We're actually in what I would consider phase 2 right here, which is the median and eastbound shoulder work from Bees Ferry to Magwood. The project's going quite smoothly. And as you can see, we also combined the city's Lake Daughter or drainage improvement project into this, and that will be done before we do the paving. Next, we have the Savannah Highway Capacity Improvement Project. We just closed the public comment period, so we're going to respond to all those comments and put a summary of those comments on our webpage. We also need to come back to the city and work out a right-of-way agreement for that that one property right there at Nicholson, the steakhouse place and the antique store. So before we move this project forward, we need to make sure that y'all are okay with the comments we got, give you a good feedback on what everyone said, and get that right-of-way agreement executed so we know who's going to be responsible for purchasing it. Next up, we have the James Island intersection and bike ped improvement project. This is a couple of projects. The first one is the Central Park and Riverland Drive intersection project. We have a clear path forward from council about 2 years ago. So we are basically doing a path all the way from Woodland Shores to the senior center. And we have reviewed those preliminary plans. They tasked us with trying to minimize the right-of-way impacts and the tree impacts. So we have made a lot of comments to those plans. We're having them do a little bit more investigation on some trees where we think we could save some better trees. So they are addressing those, and we should have those plans submitted to the DOT within the next month, meaning we can move forward pretty quickly on this after that gets done. The next one is the Folly Road Bike Ped Improvement Project. We are currently buying right away, and we hope to have that one out first quarter of 2023. Then we have the Fort Johnson and Secessionville Road project. I actually talked about this one last week at the James Island meeting. It was requested that we do some improvements at this intersection. As you can see, it's kind of at a skew, which is not desirable. So we did a road safety audit years ago, and we found that we couldn't do a roundabout because of the right-of-way impacts with the churches. So we went ahead with a signal. And we're currently buying all the right-of-way for this, but we have just recently found that the traffic study does not support or warrant a signal yet. So we are, talking to DOT. They're trying to make the numbers work. Unfortunately, it does not warrant a signal right now. So we're going to continue buying the right-of-way and shelve this and just do a study every 3 months when school's in session until it does warrant a light. Next up, we have the Fort Johnson and Camp Road. This one, we're actually going to the Towne BZA next week, I believe it is, to request the removal of 2 trees to move this project forward. And we hope to have that one out to bid third quarter of 2023. Then we have the US 17 and Savage Road intersection. A lot of people have trouble turning from 17 on Savage Road due to the radius. So we're trying to help that turning movement there. We're working with Dominion right now to finalize some easement language. They have to relocate a transmission and they're claiming prior rights. As you all know, moving a transmission is not cheap. And we can't see where they have prior rights. So we're going back and forth with them to determine who's going to have to cover that cost. We have several more projects that I'll try to briefly go through unless y'all have some questions. We have the Bees Ferry at Sanders Road traffic light. The mast arm is expected to be delivered this month. The actual foundation, the decorative foundation, won't be in December, but we are going to go ahead and install the mast arm when it comes in later this month. Next, we have the Old Town District Improvement Project. We have resubmitted the 30% plans back to the DOT and the COG, and we have been revising those plans and begun utility coordination. And the path forward is we expect for the project to be let maybe fourth quarter of 2023. And actually, this project is about $9 million, and we currently have 5 million. So we're going to have to phase it and just do what we can with the 5 million. It's been explained to council on the annual allocation funding that we just took that will be taking from the intersection category over the next 4 years so we can get the second phase fully funded. Next up, we have the Old Town Road Sidewalk project. This kind of connects to that previous one, the Old Town District Improvements, and it goes all the way to the park entrance. We started off with trying to do a multi-use path. However, it required us to remove all the crepe myrtles along Old Town. So we had a community meeting to see how the community would feel about that. They did not support that. They said they would prefer to have just a sidewalk, a 5-foot wide sidewalk, and to have sharrows on Ingram Road. So that's the way we're moving forward with that project. Next up, we have Stalker and Chadwick at Savannah Highway intersection. This project's gone through several iterations. It was in the 17 corridor improvement study, and we had it was a little bit more robust for bicyclists, but the DOT would not allow us to do some of those concepts presented. And after we had some community input with some elected officials, what we have done is we've decided just to realign the existing intersection and make the pedestrian crossings more robust and install sharrows. So you can see here what it's going to look like. And that one right now is under review by the city. Next up, we have the Savage Road Sidewalk project. This one too will go to construction as soon as Dominion can convey some right of way to the DOT. They were supposed to some years ago, but they never conveyed the site triangle. So we have to get all the legal language in place before we can advertise this project. Ashley Hall Plantation Road right turn lane, that project was just constructed, and the final inspection is actually scheduled for today. Courtney and Calhoun, this project is, we're going to widen the intersection along Calhoun Street from the connector to Gadsden Street. We have received all permits and we're in the right-of-way acquisition process. There's about 11 properties we need right-of-way from, and we expect to have this under construction by spring of next year. Next, we have the Maybank City Golf Course crossing. We took this to the Golf Commission, I believe it's last month, it might have been the previous month. We have to kind of relocate the existing driveway to have the adequate spacing from the crossing. So we are going to install a hawk signal at this location, and this will be the first hawk signal in Charleston County. And for those of you that don't know, a hawk signal is basically a traffic light that stops cars just for pedestrians. Fleming Road Sidewalk. This is to extend the right turn lane on Ashley. Let's see, I think they have something wrong here. I'm sorry. This is basically a sidewalk from the Standard all the way to Maybank Highway. That's what we're doing. And this is under design still. Next up, we have the Woodland Shores and Maybank Highway Complete Street Project. This is what we just got federal funds for this project. Actually, we got federal funds 3 years ago. We got the committee to approve an additional 1 million of federal funds that we need to actually make this project happen last Friday. So that will go to a chats meeting. But basically, we're trying to get a 6-foot sidewalk along Woodland Shores and as much width as we can on Maybank to kind of meet with the Maybank overlay district. And we have to stay within the existing right of way because this is funded with CTC funds. Whenever we have CTC funds involved, we cannot purchase right of way. So it all has to be done within the right of way. We are having some pushback from the businesses along Maybank. So we are going to be meeting with those business owners and determine the fate of this project. Next up, we have the Folly Road Country Club at McLeod pedestrian improvements. This is a sidewalk and multi-use path right there in the McLeod Plantation. We are in the process of permitting. We have to get an easement from the parks in the city. So we're working through that language. The parks people are right now looking at it, and we will need a maintenance letter from the city for the sidewalk. Next up, we have the Camp Road Sidewalk project and the Riverland Drive multi-use path. This one is actually under construction right now. And this was federally funded as well. Sycamore at 61 intersection improvements. Basically, anyone that knows that the bikeway crossing is very dangerous. We looked at doing a hawk signal, but the traffic signals were too close to do a hawk signal. So we're trying to make people go down the sidewalk to the Sycamore to the signalized intersection to cross safely. So we're making the sidewalk wider, and we're going to install sharrows on Battery Avenue. We actually just bid this one, and the bids were extremely high, higher than budget. So what we're going to do is we're going to combine this one with Courtney and Dowdy, as well as Stalker and Chadwick, as soon as we get that permit from the city, and some other 700 crosswalk projects that we're going to bid. So we're just going to bulk up a bunch of projects together, bid them together in hopes that we'll get better pricing. Next up, we have the Ashley Avenue and Congress Street project. And this is basically pedestrian signals, RFBs, in fact, and bulb outs to provide more traffic calming to the area. And this one, we are in the permitting phase as well. And we need a maintenance letter from the city. And we've been waiting for about 3 months for that. Once we get that maintenance letter, we can actually get the permit from the DOT.
Hey, Devery, what is it that we got to maintain? Just the crosswalks?
The RFB, anytime RFB is installed, the municipality has to take the responsibility over. Next, we have Ashley Avenue at Hugie Street. And again, this is a pedestrian improvement project as well. We're going to do the same thing here, bulb outs, signals, RFBs, and additional crosswalks to make it safer for pedestrians and to kind of slow down the traffic. And that one is still in design phase. Then we have the Oceanic Street Improvement Project. This is near the skate park. We actually just bid this one. And again, the bids came in extremely high. So we're going to have to find a way to maybe combine this with another sidewalk project in hopes of getting some reasonable prices. Just so you guys know, we've been bidding projects and getting 0 bids to 1 bid. And sometimes we'll get a bid that ranges from $1 million to $3 million. So contractors are busy right now and they're just throwing out crazy numbers. So we're trying to figure out a way to get around that. The only thing we could think to do is add more days and then maybe just package them all together. And we may just have to put the pause button on for a couple months till they get, they need work. Courtney and Dowdy Street. This one, again, is an installation of pedestrian signals and crosswalks. We have submitted final plans. This one will be packaged with Sycamore and 61 with the 700 crosswalk projects and the Stalker and Chadwick. St. Philip's and Cumming Street mid-block crossings. This is installing a signalized mid-block crossing on St. Philip and Cumming Street. And we just got the maintenance letter last week. So now that we got that, we issued that to DOT and we should have the permit in October and then be ready to advertise this one. East Bay Street, this one is too in permitting with the DOT and the city. And again, we'll need a maintenance letter from the city for the granite curbing. Romney Street bike lanes, the concept plans have been reviewed by the city and the DOT, and we're working on the final plan set. And we're going to wait to do this one until the new apartment complex is built. Sunset Drive raised crosswalk. This one we're just going to do in-house. This one should be fairly simple. And again, it will require an RFP, which will require a maintenance city letter. Sea Island Community Sidewalk. This is like a Habitat for Community place on Maybank, and it goes all the way to the Main and Maybank intersection, and that's currently under construction. And as y'all can, I don't know if you can see here, but if you look at pictures out there, there's a worn path where people walk. So this is a much needed project. Ashley Hall at Sam Rittenberg turn lane. This is the installation of a right turn lane to increase storage length. And we're also going to do some drainage improvements. And this one is in the permitting phase, and it will be submitted to the city TRC next week. Some recently completed pavement management projects. Here's a bunch of roads that are in the city. If y'all have any questions, let me know. These were done within the last year. And then we have some rejuvenator projects, which is another pavement treatment type. And some upcoming pavement management projects in the city. As you can see here, they're kind of all over the place. I can see James Island, West Ashley, several other roads in the area. And I'll be more than happy to send this presentation to you all in case you have any specific questions. And then this is a procurement too. This is another rejuvenator project, and these are all city roads that we plan to treat this year. And then over here is the titanium oxide. That's the stuff that we put on, and it actually takes out pollutants in the air. So. And then here's a list of the tentative lettings that and when we plan to let them. This Conquest actually is Sullivan's Island, so forgive me for that one. But as you can see, we're quite busy. Any questions?
Thanks, Deborah.
I know that's a lot.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and you know, I think especially we appreciate you doing these project updates, because especially for the citizens being able to see that, you know, I think sometimes the you know, government projects end up taking longer than sometimes we initially anticipate, but that there's various points of the life cycle that all these projects are going through. So it's exciting to see that so many, especially major projects, are still moving forward. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions or comments from members of the committee. Mr. Mayor.
Deborah, thank you for your work. That's an impressive list of projects. This is just a curiosity. You mentioned the dollar amount for the Northern Pitchfork and that it was in budget. Remind me what that original budget was and how many bids did y'all get? Just curious.
So we got 3 bids and they ranged anywhere. I want to say, I can't remember exactly, but because it was Friday when I opened them, but I believe it was from 4.3 to 5.1, if I remember correctly. And it was within budget. In fact, I have crunched the numbers to even make sure we're gonna do the inspection in-house. We have a whole C&I group, and they're really excited about this project. The great thing is it's kind of in the woods, so they don't get to get screamed at like a lot of projects that are under construction. So they're really looking forward to doing this, and that way that enables us to stay within the budget by doing that.
Thank you. So my other question was about the Old Town Road project phasing.
Sure.
And you said we didn't have enough money in the budget, so we got to phase it. So I think I've tried to communicate. I don't know if it really got through or not, at least from my observation and perspective with the project that we have planned at Sumar Street. And then the recent revelation of improvements at the shopping center there where the Publix is going to be relocated, and then your own sidewalk project going down to the new county park. I respectfully think it would be best to phase all the pedestrian improvements first and then come back to the Orange Grove Road intersection improvements. Is that which way did y'all phase it? I guess number one, and number two, is it set in stone?
Okay, so the way we phased it was we consider safety our number one factor and the number one concern for this project. And it actually was a intersection project due to the number of accidents. So we prioritized the Orange Grove intersection just from a safety standpoint and trying to make it safer because there are a lot of accidents there. So we kind of gave our consultant that direction. I guess it would be up for, we could talk about if it's feasible to do the other piece, but I do want to make y'all aware that yes, there are a number of accidents. So we did feel like that was the number one priority. And as I said, what we wrote in the allocation this year when we took it to council was that we would be borrowing. So usually we give 2 million a year towards intersection projects. To get this project fully funded, we will need to essentially take close to $1 million each year just for this particular project.
I'm sorry, you need to do what?
Take basically $1 million of that 2 million a year for this particular project, because we have committed to build this project and that's what it's going to take for us to be able to do so.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Thank you. A lot of great work I know goes into so many projects. Thank you, Deborah.
Sure.
Seekings?
Hey, Debbie, it's Mike Seekins. I've got a question on the Central Park Road Bike Improvement Project. Is
Yes,
there-
sir.
Where is that? Where does that stand? Is that in design or is that? where is
Yeah,
that?
that's in design. So we have, again, what, about a year, might have been a little bit longer ago. This, we kind of changed what the project initially was. They kind of changed the purpose and needs. So now we're installing a right turn lane on Central Park. It's not going to be signalized.
Okay.
And we're essentially building a multi-use path all the way from Woodland Shores to the senior center. And then our Camp Road project picks up at the senior center and goes all the way to Camp Road. And then Camp Road goes all the way to Folly Road. And then we have our Folly Road bike pad. So throughout all these projects that are in design or construction, we're going to connect 5.8 miles of sidewalk.
So that's a cool project and
Yeah.
it was specific to Central Park Road, especially when you get to the western end of it. Are you incorporating some drainage improvements along with that too? I mean, that whole area is crazy surface flooding and where you're going to put that right turn lane and the bike pedestrian infrastructure seems like to me it's going to need some drainage improvements there too, right?
Right. So all we can do, and this was actually when we were looking at adding the Lake Dotterer project into the Glen McConnell Widening project. I don't know if you recall, but we got strict guidelines from the Department of Revenue that we cannot use transportation funds to fund drainage projects. With that being said, we feel like if we're building something and we can make drainage better, we will, but we cannot use transportation funds for drainage projects.
I get that, but it just seems to me, especially on that west end of Central Park Road, I mean, it floods to the north area there anyway. You're going to have to do something to get the infrastructure through, I think. But anyway,
So sure. So we got a CTC project, which is to actually we're replacing those culverts underneath Central Park. So there is a project, a drainage project going on where that crossing is and where it floods and where the road is impassable.
great, thanks.
Yep, that's a separate project though, but it is underway as well.
And then one other thing, while I've got you quickly, the Calhoun Street connector project there, like 4th Street, did you say that's coming soon to a community near us?
Yes, sir. We got all permits, so all we need is right away.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Do any other members of the committee have any questions for Deborah? Oh, Councilmember Parker.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, thank you for that presentation. And I would love if you could send that my way. I think I have most of it from James Island Intergovernmental, but one quick question. The 52 parcels that you're looking at purchasing the right-of-ways on Folly Road. I may get this information at Rethink Folly in 2 weeks, but do you know how many of those 52 are city-owned?
I can look that up for you. And do you want to know, that'll take a little bit of time, but not too much. Do you want to know which ones have already been secured and which ones were not? We can get you that information.
Sure, yeah, if you don't
Okay.
mind, and I'm sure it'll come up at Rethink Folly Road. I don't know, I'm sure you'll have a presence there, but I would be curious because you're looking at procurement for 52 parcels for the right of way.
We have it in our budget, so we have already hired a right-of-way agent that does all, essentially does all our right-of-way acquisition, and he's already working and he's already secured some, and every month when he sends me his invoice, he sends us a list of which ones have been secured and which ones have not. And we have a monthly meeting with them as well to see, make sure that they are making progress, that they are making regular contacts. So we can certainly go through and highlight which one of those are in the city.
Sure, thanks. Then I'll just look for, I assume I'll see it at Rethink Folly Road. but-
Yeah, and it's Sheila Parker is the project manager for that particular project, but yes, she will be there.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
All right, anyone else? All right, well, thank you, Devery, and thank you for that very comprehensive update. We appreciate it.
Okay, and I'll send this to Robbie's way and he can give it out to all you.
Yep, that sounds great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, are our folks from the Charleston County School District on?
We are indeed.
Perfect. Well, I will turn it over to them for our Harbor View School traffic update.
Great. Can you do a share screen? I'll show you a nice diagram.
Yeah, you should have the ability to share. Just give
Okay.
us.
Oh, it says I cannot share the screen while others are participating.
Oh,
Share.
wait a minute. I gotta unshare. Give me 1 minute.
There we go.
Okay, you got it?
I think so.
All right, perfect.
All right. Hopefully y'all can see my diagram there. Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, staff. I really appreciate the opportunity to come forward today to talk to you about Harbor View in a quick, short few minutes. I did want to introduce Lee Hargrove, who's on the line with me. He's our Deputy Director of Security Ops. He's the eyes on the ground for the City of Charleston schools and has really been keeping a close eye on traffic out there at Harbor View. I want to thank each of you for the work that you've done with us. It's been a great partnership. And I think this project here was indeed another one in which we worked together to make some improvements. So what I'm showing you here is the Harbor View. At the bottom of the screen is Harbor View Road. And then, I don't know if I can slide to the right. Slide it up. To the right is Frampton. You can see our school in the bottom part of the screen. Sliding up to where we show some improvements that have been made to expand the parking lane there to get cars off the street. And I think we've done a pretty good job with that. The red lane represents the primary lane of traffic, but we double up and go with the green lane when things get crowded. The light gray area here, hopefully you can see I don't know if you can see my pointer on the screen or not, but it's the light gray narrow area. That's the expanded parking area that we completed this summer. $454,000 project with underground retention, stormwater retention, so that we're not dumping any more water into the community. That has expanded our ability to bring cars onto this campus by 63%, which is hugely successful. That's well within the design standards of South Carolina DOT's guidelines based on the capacity of this school, which is 682 students. And we are below that right now. We're at 645 at Harbor View. We've taken a look at what's going on out there on a daily basis. Mr. Hargrove's been out there a number of times, and we've really reduced the amount of traffic back on Frampton and Harbor View. Looking at his data here, we've decreased the vehicle backup in the afternoon from 34 minutes to 2 minutes. In the morning, it's about 11 minutes. But the big thing is that when the doors open and kids are allowed in, traffic is moving to some extent. So we're very pleased with the results here with the Harbor View project. Subject to your questions, that's all I've got for you today.
So when you mentioned the 2 minutes in the afternoon, 11 minutes in the morning, is that just the average time someone's spending in the line? Is that kind of the idea?
That's the amount of the amount of time somebody is backed up onto Harbor View.
Okay.
So again, we've decreased that from 34 minutes to 2. We've got 11 minutes in the morning arrival time. Again, we've got traffic moving pretty much at all times though. And Lee, anything to add to that?
No, I mean, the impetus of all this is a driveway to a private residence right at the beginning of Frampton there. And we've taken great strides to try to keep that driveway open. In addition to the stacking of the vehicles, but we've also talked to the parents of the school about not blocking that driveway and keeping things moving. This stack is actually a design that came from SCDOT. They recommended that we do this to get more cars off the roadway because they've been involved with this as well. And I feel just we've done everything we can to get to make an improvement to this intersection. And those times, I've actually seen those numbers even smaller and even less out there. A lot of times our car ride of traffic is dependent upon things like the weather and other factors. So, but it is greatly improved from what it was in previous years.
Thanks, Lee.
Do any members of the committee have any questions? Councilmember Gregg?
Where is the road closed? We hear from this gentleman every council member or every council meeting. Where was the road?
So if you look to the upper right of the screen, you see that faded white line.
Right.
So if you extend Frampton beyond our entrance of the school and continue on, it dead ends before it hits Inverness. So
Okay.
that road is what used to be open years and years ago. I've been here since 2014. It certainly wasn't open then. But that's the road in question.
Okay. And why was it closed?
Well, the big challenge is you'll see that if that road was open, you would see it being used as a pass through to get to Folly Road. And so you'd see a lot of traffic coming off the main thoroughfares going through the neighborhoods, including there along Inverness and on Frampton.
Okay, thank you.
Sir.
Any other members wish to speak? Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to thank Jeff and CCSD staff for working with us to make this situation better. I think it's a vast improvement over what was there before, and y'all were very thoughtful to be able to add that entire length of double stacking in order to get those cars off the road. So thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. All right. Any other council members or members of the committee have any comments? Councilmember Parker?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So do the cars back up? So they do back up here along Frampton from the road?
There are times when cars are working their way onto the campus.
And are there no parking signs and things like that displayed along that street in those residential houses, those residential areas?
That's correct. There's no parking signs there along those roads.
Okay.
Councilwoman, I'll add that we do have do not block driveway signs. Of course, at the one particular house, that sign has been there for a year. The other house that's located on Frampton, I say within the last year, just requested a sign to go up. But yes, we do have signage to indicate and ask not to block the driveways.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anyone else? All right. If not, thank you, gentlemen, for your presentation. We greatly appreciate you showing the improvements that have been made there. So hopefully some of the residents will take note of the efforts that have been involved to do that. Is there any other things to come before the Traffic and Transportation Committee?
Move to adjourn.
Has been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Anyone?
Second.
All right.
Second my own motion.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We stand adjourned at 3:50.